Pound for pound, these leaves up here have more mineral content than manures. Do not be throwing your leaves out by the road. Let's talk about that and a whole lot more on this week's edition of The Plant Doctor. Hey, I'm Dr. Tom Warren, and today what I want to talk about is using leaves as an advantage to make your lawn and landscape a better place. So it's late fall here where I'm at, and we have a fantastic opportunity to take advantage of these falling leaves. This is great soil amendment. Under no circumstances would I recommend ever just putting things out by the road when we can incorporate this into our flower beds. We can actually even put it into the grass and enhance the soil for our plants. The first thing I want to talk about is how to deal with leaves on the turf. What I like to do is I use a mulch blade on my mower. So a mulch blade has an inverted edge, so the front edge is going to be flat, and as it goes back along the blade, it tilts up, and that just circulates clippings and leaves through the blade several times. I'll shred those up, and I'll just go back and forth just like I'm mowing the grass and shred those up and let those leaf clippings, those tiny shredded up leaves, soak down into the grass layer. So as it rains, they'll slowly but surely go down, they'll decompose and be part of the soil. So what am I doing with this? I'm enhancing my soil texture. So where I'm at, the soils are extremely sandy. There's not a whole lot of water holding capacity with my soils. So by adding some decomposed organic material, I'm actually aiding in the soil's ability to retain a little bit of water. Also, there's nutrients in those leaves. So things like nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium and all those other great things that plants need in order to survive, they're in there as well. And so that's what we're doing with our leaves that are on the grass. My recommendation would be mow over it, and if the leaves still are big and chunky, hit it one more time. If you're having to hit it 3 or 4 times, maybe it's not a good idea to incorporate those leaves into your turf. But if you can get it done in 1 or 2 passes, I would highly recommend doing that. So this is an area just after mowing, and you can see it cleaned up pretty good. The leaves you see on the ground here are actually the leaves that have fallen since I've mowed. It's very windy today. We're going to have a hard freeze tonight, an early freeze for our area. But a freeze nonetheless. So there's a cold front moving in, and it's pushing a lot of leaves around. But you can see the mulch blades did a very nice job with getting rid of the leaves that we had. The leaves that fall into the flower beds, and there's several here in this shady garden, I'm going to leave these on the ground. I want this to decompose naturally throughout the winter and going into next spring. This is great organic fertilizer for our shrubs, in particular plants that love acid soils. So part of the decomposition process will actually lower the pH of the soil. So we're increasing the acidity of the soil, and things like azaleas just love this. A pro tip: when you're letting your leaves fall and lay where they're at, make sure that they're not collecting around the base of the plant, especially things like azaleas and rhododendrons. I have seen issues with them getting Pythium root rot because there'll just be a mat of leaves 6 to 8 inches deep around the roots here. If you can get it on the edge of the drip line, your leaves on the edge of the drip line of these plants, and leave the middle of these plants a little bit more open, you'll have way greater success with using this method of decomposing leaves in and around your garden and landscape. Another added benefit of letting the leaves fall here in the landscape is going to be that a lot of our beneficial insects, in particular things like ladybugs, they are going to lay their eggs in this leaf matter. So next spring, as the aphids start to come up and feed on things, we will also have an insurgence of beneficial insects, in particular ladybugs, that are going to come up and start feeding on those aphids. So we're creating a natural habitat to not only increase the nutrient availability for these plants, but also to reduce the pest that'll be associated with feeding on these particular plants as well. So it's a multiple benefit here. We're getting nutrients and we're getting pest prevention as well. I mentioned earlier that we could add soil structure to our landscape beds by incorporating these leaves into it. I've got a small hole dug here, and I want you to notice how dark this soil is compared to some soil that I'm going to show you here in some B-roll film that has not had any amendment to it. So this soil here is very, very dark. There's nice structure in it. There's different particle sizes. And I've noticed a big difference in how these azaleas look since I've started incorporating leaves and pine straw into the bed to help build this soil up. Let's look at some soil here in this image that has not had anything added to it. Notice it's whiter in color. It's very sandy, it's very gritty. There's no decomposed matter in it at all. There's very little nutrients in it. I've actually sent soil samples off to Auburn University of areas that I've done this to and areas I haven't done this to, and the nutrients in the areas I've done this to are much greater than the areas that I have not done this to. One thing you might be thinking is the leaves in the flower bed are a little unsightly, and they are, but we're going to fix that. Once these leaves fall, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over this with pine straw and pine straw all this. That usually occurs sometime around Christmas, so between Christmas and New Year's is when I'll get out here and I'll put down a fresh layer of pine straw, so going into the spring, it'll look primo. One more benefit that we really should talk about here is the time and effort it saves you from having to rake up leaves. Some people rake up leaves, put them by the road. Other people rake them, put them in a bag, and then put them by the road. We're avoiding all of that, right? So there is the added benefit of reduced labor on your end, the added benefit of nutrients for these guys behind me. We're providing a habitat for insects to thrive here, in particular the beneficial insects, the ladybugs that'll eat the aphids and everything else that wants to attack our plants. So as you can see, there's lots of advantages here for putting down leaves in your flower bed and then chopping them up as well and sticking them over here in the turf. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor. If you hadn't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let us know in the comments what you do with your leaves and if it's helping with your lawn and landscape. And until next time, happy gardening.